Jai-Ho Park stood at the entrance of the Galactic Federation Academy of Sciences, holding a clear container close to his chest. Inside, a small orange and red corn snake lay curled up on a bed of soft substrate. The snake, which he named Noodle, was his only friend from Earth. The Academy building rose high into the purple sky of planet Edu 7, its crystal towers reflecting the light of two distant suns. Students of various species walked, floated, and in some cases slithered through the wide doorways. Some had scales, others had feathers, and a few glowed with natural bioluminescence. "Welcome, Earth Student Park," said a floating screen near the entrance. "Your registration is complete. Please proceed to Xenobiology Class 101 in room 547. Jai-Ho took a deep breath and walked inside. The halls were wide enough for 10 humans to walk side by side, built to accommodate students of all sizes. As he walked, he noticed how other students moved away from him. He was used to this. Humans were known as Deathworlders because they came from a planet with high gravity and dangerous conditions. In the elevator, a tall bird-like student with purple feathers looked at his container. "What is that creature?" she asked in Standard Galactic. "This is Noodle, my pet snake," Jai-Ho answered with a smile. "She's very friendly. Would you like to see her?" The bird-like student, who introduced herself as Neri Kim, moved closer with curiosity. "I have read that Earth animals are quite harmless compared to other Deathworld creatures. Is this true?" Jai-Ho nodded. "Yes, Noodle is a corn snake. They're one of the gentlest snake species on Earth. She helps me feel less homesick." He lifted the container so Neri could see better. Noodle raised her head, flicking her tongue at the air. When they reached room 547, Jai-Ho found the class already full of students from across the galaxy. Some had multiple eyes, others had no eyes at all. A few looked like walking crystals, while others resembled Earth's sea creatures. Professor Kyung-Mei Lee, one of the few other humans at the academy, stood at the front of the class. She raised her eyebrows when she saw the container in Jai-Ho's hands. "Ah, Student Park," she said. "I see you brought your emotional support animal." The academy approved this. "Yes, Professor," Jai-Ho replied. "They said as long as she stays in her container during classes, it's allowed." The professor nodded slowly, though Jai-Ho noticed a slight frown on her face. "Very well. Please take a seat." As Jai-Ho sat down, he heard whispers from nearby students. Many had never seen an Earth reptile before. Some took pictures with their neural implants, while others discussed how small and harmless the creature looked compared to the predators of their worlds. "Look how tiny it is," one crystal-like student said. "On my world, even our smallest creatures are 50 times that size. And it has no energy weapons," another student added. "How does it survive?" Jai-Ho smiled to himself as he set Noodle's container on his desk. If only they knew how efficiently Earth's predators had evolved. Even a small snake like Noodle was a perfect hunting machine, though he'd never tell them that. It might scare them. As Professor Lee began her lecture on galactic wildlife classifications, Jai-Ho noticed how Noodle tracked the movement of a floating light orb used for presentations. Her head followed it smoothly, instincts still sharp despite generations of captive breeding. "Earth," the professor was saying, "is classified as a death world due to its gravity and climate variations. However, its wildlife is considered relatively harmless compared to other worlds in its category." Jai-Ho raised his hand. "Professor, isn't that classification a bit?" He paused, thinking of the lions, tigers, and bears he'd learned about in Earth school. "Simplified." Professor Lee gave him a knowing look. "Perhaps we'll discuss that in more detail when we reach the Earth wildlife section of our course." Jai-Ho nodded and sat back, gently tapping Noodle's container. The little snake coiled herself more tightly, comfortable and calm. No one in the class seemed worried about her presence. After all, what harm could a small Earth reptile do? Little did they know, they were about to learn why Earth's harmless wildlife had survived on a death world for millions of years. Professor Kyung-Mai Lee walked quickly through the Academy's administrative wing, her footsteps echoing off the crystalline walls. She needed to speak with someone about Jiho Park's snake before things got out of hand. As a xenobiologist who specialized in earth creatures, she understood what others did not. The administrative office was staffed by a tall, mantis-like alien who introduced himself as head administrator Du-Yum Kang. His compound eyes reflected the room's soft light as he reviewed the documents on his screen. "Professor Lee, I have reviewed the approval for Student Park's emotional support animal," he said, his translator converting his clicks into standard galactic. "The creature meets all size requirements and has no venomous capabilities. Is there a problem?" "The issue isn't venom," Professor Lee explained. "Earth's predators are different. They don't need to be large or venomous to be effective hunters. Even a small corn snake has instincts that—" "Professor," Du-Young interrupted politely, "I understand your concern. However, the Academy has hosted creatures from Class 12 Deathworlds without incident. This is merely a small Earth reptile." In her afternoon class, Neri Kim raised an interesting question during her presentation on interspecies relations. "Professor Lee, I've been observing Student Park's snake. It seems to watch moving objects with great focus. Is this common for Earth pets?" Before Professor Lee could answer, another student, a floating gas base being called Hey Nul Song, joined the discussion. "On my world, such focused attention means a creature is preparing to attack. Should we be concerned?" The class grew quiet. Jiho, sitting in the back with Noodle's container, looked uncomfortable. The snake was indeed tracking the movement of a small floating light creature that another student used for taking notes. "Earth predators are efficient," Professor Lee said carefully. "They use focused attention to understand their environment. But Student Park's snake is well-trained and properly contained." After class, Jiho stayed behind. "Professor, I notice everyone seems worried about Noodle, but she's really harmless. Back on Earth, many people keep corn snakes as pets." "Jiho," Professor Lee said gently, "what seems harmless to us can be threatening to others. Many species here have never encountered a predator that hunts the way Earth creatures do. They're used to large, obvious threats." "But Noodle's so small," Jiho protested. "The Academy Handbook said Earth wildlife is classified as minimal threat level." "That classification," Professor Lee sighed, "was made by beings who didn't fully understand Earth's ecosystem. They looked at size and obvious weapons like claws or venom. They didn't consider hunting methods, instincts, or behavioral adaptations." Later that day, in the Academy's common area, Jiho sat with Neri and a few other students. They watched Noodle explore her container, moving with smooth, purposeful motions. "Can I feed her?" Neri asked, fascinated by the snake's movements. "What does she eat?" Jiho hesitated. "She eats small prey animals. But don't worry, I brought proper food from Earth." A crystal-formed student named Taiwan Choi leaned closer. "How does it catch prey? I see no obvious weapons." "Well," Jiho began, then stopped. How could he explain constriction to species that had never encountered such a hunting method? "She hugs them." The other students laughed, relieved. "Hugging is not dangerous," Taiwan said. "This confirms that Earth creatures are harmless. Even their hunting methods are gentle." Professor Lee, passing by and overhearing this, shook her head slightly. She knew it was only a matter of time before these students learned why Earth's predators had survived for millions of years. Sometimes, the most efficient hunters were the ones you never saw coming. As the day ended, Jiho carried Noodle back to his dormitory, unaware that tomorrow's class presentation would change everyone's understanding of harmless Earth wildlife forever. The day of class presentations arrived at the Galactic Federation Academy of Sciences. Professor Lee had arranged for each student to demonstrate something unique about their homeworld's wildlife. The classroom buzzed with excitement as various alien species set up their presentations. Jaiho Park sat quietly in his usual spot, Noodle's container placed carefully on his desk. The corn snake appeared more active than usual, perhaps sensing the increased energy in the room. Several students had brought live specimens or interactive holograms to showcase their world's creatures. Neri Kim went first, presenting a hologram of her world's largest flying predator. The image showed a magnificent creature with a wingspan wider than the classroom. Despite their size, she explained, they are peaceful gatherers who use their wings to harvest floating plant spores. Next, Taiwan Choi demonstrated how the crystal beings from his world absorbed pure energy for sustenance. His body glowed with bright colors as he consumed a small power cell, drawing impressed murmurs from the class. When Jaiho's turn came, he carefully carried Noodle's container to the front of the room. Professor Lee watched with visible concern as he began his presentation. Today, I would like to show you how Earth's wildlife has adapted to survive, Jaiho said. Noodle represents one of the many successful predator species from Earth. Those small corn snakes are excellent hunters. As if on cue, Noodle raised her head, her tongue flicking out to taste the air. The class leaned forward, curious but still unworried. After all, what could such a small creature do? On Earth, size isn't always important for survival, Jaiho continued. What matters is efficiency. At that moment, Hey Noodle Song's note-taking light creature drifted too close to Noodle's container. What happened next occurred so quickly that many students didn't process it until it was over. Noodle's body tensed. In one fluid motion, faster than anyone expected, she struck at the container wall where the light creature floated. The entire class jumped in surprise. Even though the strike hit the clear barrier, everyone had seen the perfect precision of the attack. That's impossible, one student whispered. The movement speed. It rivals our military-grade targeting systems. Professor Lee stepped forward quickly. Thank you, Jaiho. This demonstrates an important point about Earth's wildlife. What appears harmless. But she couldn't finish her sentence. Noodle, now fully in hunting mode, began displaying her full range of predatory behavior. She moved with purpose, her muscles rippling as she tracked multiple moving objects in the room. The fluid grace of her movements held a deadly beauty that no one could ignore. The crystalline student, Taiwan, had backed away to the far wall. It shows no energy signature before attacking. No warning. No power buildup. How do you defend against such a thing? That's the point, Professor Lee said, taking control of the situation. Earth's predators evolved without energy weapons or massive size. They survived through stealth, speed, and efficiency. Jaiho tried to ease the tension. But Noodle is really very gentle. She's never hurt anyone. Student Park, Professor Lee said firmly, I believe you've successfully demonstrated why Earth's wildlife classification needs serious review. Sometimes the most dangerous things in the galaxy are not the ones that look frightening, but the ones that have perfected their hunting methods over millions of years. The class ended early that day. As students filed out, they kept glancing back at Noodle, who had returned to her calm state, looking as harmless as ever. But now they understood. They had witnessed firsthand why Earth's creatures, despite their size, had survived on a death world. Word of the incident spread quickly through the academy. By evening, the story had grown to include wild speculations about Earth's other harmless wildlife. Nobody noticed Professor Lee sending an urgent message to the Galactic Federation's Wildlife Classification Board. The time had come to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about Earth's creatures. News of the incident in Professor Lee's classroom spread through the Galactic Federation Academy of Sciences with remarkable speed. By the next morning, students from all departments gathered in small groups, discussing what they had witnessed or heard about the Earth snake's hunting display. Professor Taiwan Choi, the head of the Alien Biology Department, called an emergency meeting of the faculty. The professor's crystalline form sparkled with concern as he addressed his colleagues in the main conference room. We must address the implications of yesterday's event, he stated, his voice resonating through the chamber. If a small Earth reptile classified as harmless can demonstrate such hunting precision, what else have we misunderstood about Earth's wildlife? In the student commons, Jai-Ho Park sat alone at a table, Noodle's container placed carefully beside him. He noticed how other students now maintained a respectful distance, their previous casual curiosity replaced with cautious observation. Neri Kim approached his table, though she moved more carefully than before. "The other students are afraid," she said, settling her feathered form onto a seat across from him. "But I find myself more fascinated than frightened. Tell me, are all Earth creatures like your snake?" Before Jai-Ho could answer, Hae-Nul Song drifted over to join them. The gaseous being's form rippled with interest. "I have been researching Earth's wildlife database since yesterday. The information seems incomplete." Professor Lee worked in her office, preparing a comprehensive report about Earth's predators. Her computer screen displayed images of various Earth creatures: wolves hunting in packs, eagles swooping down on prey, and cats stalking with silent precision. A knock at her door interrupted her work. "Enter," she called out. A group of students from different species filed into her office, led by Neri. "Professor," Neri began, "we wish to learn more about Earth's wildlife. The official classifications seem insufficient." The professor gestured for them to sit. "What you saw yesterday was just one example. Earth's creatures evolved without energy weapons or massive size because they didn't need them. They developed other advantages." In another part of the academy, the administration faced a growing number of inquiries from concerned parents and diplomatic representatives. Head Administrator Du Yum Kang found himself explaining the situation to the Galactic Federation's Education Board. "Yes, we are conducting a full review," he assured them, his mantis-like form moving precisely as he spoke. "However, we must note that this incident has provided an unprecedented learning opportunity." Meanwhile, Jai-Ho found himself becoming an unexpected expert on Earth's wildlife. Students now approached him with serious questions about Earth's ecosystems and survival mechanisms. He explained how Earth's predators used stealth, speed, and efficiency rather than raw power or energy weapons. "Even our herbivores can be dangerous," he explained to a fascinated group. "On Earth, size and apparent threat level don't always indicate actual danger." Professor Lee watched these developments with mixed feelings. She knew this changed perspective was necessary, but she worried about the growing fear of Earth's wildlife. After class, she pulled Jai-Ho aside. "The Academy will adapt," she assured him. "But we must help them understand that respect for Earth's wildlife doesn't mean they should live in fear of it." As the day ended, a new message appeared on all Academy screens. "Urgent update. Revised safety protocols for Earth species to be implemented immediately. All students please attend mandatory briefing tomorrow." Jai-Ho looked at Noodle, who remained peaceful in her container, unaware that she had sparked a revolution in galactic understanding of Earth's wildlife. The small corn snake had done what countless scientific papers couldn't. She had shown the galaxy that harmless was a dangerous assumption when it came to Earth's creatures. Professor Kyung-Mai Lee stood before the Academy's main research council, presenting her findings on Earth's wildlife. The large display behind her showed various Earth predators in action. The council members watched with increasing concern as she explained her research. "Our previous classification system failed to consider the evolutionary adaptations of Earth's species," she explained, gesturing to the screen. "Consider the constrictor snakes, like Student Park's corn snake. They don't just hug their prey, as was previously thought. They use precise pressure to stop blood flow to vital organs." The council chamber grew silent. Professor Ta Wen-choi's crystalline form dimmed slightly as he processed this information. "And this is considered a small, harmless species on Earth." "Correct," Professor Lee continued. "Now let me show you some of Earth's larger constrictors." The display changed to show pythons and anacondas. Several council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. In the Academy Library, Jai-Ho Park found himself surrounded by students conducting their own research into Earth's wildlife. Neri Kim had taken particular interest in Earth's birds of prey, while Hae Nul Song studied the hunting patterns of big cats. "Your eagles," Neri said, her feathers ruffling with excitement. "They dive at speeds that would tear apart most space fighters. And they do this without technology." Jai-ho nodded. "They use their natural abilities. Many Earth creatures developed amazing skills through evolution." The research spread beyond the Academy. The Galactic Federation's main database recorded a sudden surge in searches about Earth's wildlife. Scientists from various worlds began requesting more detailed information about Earth's ecosystems. Professor Lee received messages from colleagues across the galaxy. One particular message caught her attention: urgent request for information about Earth's marine predators. She smiled, knowing that when they learned about great white sharks and killer whales, the galaxy's perception of harmless Earth wildlife would change even more. In his dormitory, Jai-ho watched as Noodle calmly ate her dinner. A small group of students observed through the safety glass that had been installed in his room. They wanted to understand how such a small creature could eat prey whole. "The efficiency is remarkable," commented Taiwan, who had joined the observation group. "No energy waste, no unused portions, complete consumption of prey." Head Administrator Du Yum Kang organized a special committee to review all Earth wildlife documentation. The committee discovered that many Earth creatures previously classified as harmless possessed extraordinary abilities. Even their herbivores show surprising capabilities, one researcher reported. Earth hippopotamuses, despite being plant eaters, are responsible for more human deaths in certain regions than any predator. Professor Lee added this information to her growing database. She understood that the galaxy needed to know the truth about Earth's wildlife, but she also wanted to prevent unnecessary fear. "The key," she explained to her class, "is not to fear Earth's creatures, but to respect their capabilities. They evolved on a death world, after all." As the research continued, the Academy established new protocols for studying Earth species. Jai-ho's corn snake had opened the galaxy's eyes to a crucial truth. On Earth, survival didn't depend on size or obvious weapons, but on millions of years of evolutionary refinement. The small corn snake in her container remained unaware that she had sparked a scientific revolution. She had shown the galaxy that sometimes the most efficient predators were the ones that seemed the least threatening at first glance. The Galactic Federation Academy of Sciences underwent significant changes in the weeks following the snake incident. Professor Kyung-Mai Lee stood before her xenobiology class, presenting the newly revised curriculum. The classroom, once filled with casual curiosity, now held students who paid careful attention to every detail about Earth's wildlife. "Today, we begin our expanded section on Earth's evolutionary adaptations," Professor Lee announced. "The Academy Board has approved a full semester course dedicated to Earth's wildlife, starting next term." In the front row, Jai-ho Park noticed how his classmates took detailed notes. His small corn snake, Noodle, remained in her reinforced container, which now featured special monitoring equipment. The Academy had installed similar systems throughout the campus to study Earth creatures' behaviors. Head Administrator Du Yum Kang had implemented new safety protocols. All Earth species brought to the Academy required detailed documentation of their capabilities. The administration no longer accepted simple size measurements or basic biological data. Each Earth creature must be evaluated based on its full range of abilities, Administrator Kang explained during a faculty meeting. "We must consider hunting methods, defensive capabilities, and behavioral patterns." Professor Lee's reputation grew as the leading expert on Earth wildlife. Other academic institutions requested her guidance in developing their own Earth species programs. She often used Jai-ho's corn snake as an example in her lectures. "What makes Earth's wildlife unique," she explained to a group of visiting professors, "is not their size or obvious weapons, but their refined hunting methods." Evolution on Earth favored efficiency over display. The Academy's library created a new section dedicated to Earth's wildlife. Students spent hours studying videos of Earth's predators in action. They analyzed hunting patterns, defensive behaviors, and survival strategies. The seemingly simple creatures from Earth revealed layers of complexity that fascinated the galactic academic community. Nairi Kim, who had become particularly interested in Earth's wildlife, organized study groups. Understanding Earth's creatures helps us understand survival itself, she told her fellow students. Their solutions to evolutionary challenges are unlike anything in the known galaxy. Jai-Ho found himself teaching impromptu lessons about Earth's wildlife. Students sought his insights about common Earth creatures they had previously dismissed as harmless. He explained how house cats hunted with precision, how birds used advanced flight techniques, and how even small animals could defend themselves effectively. On Earth, he explained, every creature that survived did so because it found its perfect role in the ecosystem. Size and strength were not always the answer. The Academy's research department received increased funding for Earth wildlife studies. They began developing new classification systems that considered hunting efficiency, stealth capabilities, and adaptive behaviors, rather than just size and obvious weapons. Professor Ta Wen Choi, who had initially doubted the importance of studying Earth's smaller creatures, now led research into their hunting methods. These creatures challenge everything we thought we knew about survival on Deathworlds, he admitted during a faculty presentation. As the term progressed, the Academy's approach to wildlife classification changed fundamentally. They no longer divided creatures into harmless and dangerous categories. Instead, they studied each species' unique adaptations and survival strategies. Jai-Ho watched these changes with quiet satisfaction. His small corn snake had helped the galaxy understand that nature's most effective solutions weren't always the most obvious ones. The Academy had learned a valuable lesson. In the game of survival, efficiency often trumped size and power. The incident with Noodle had transformed from a moment of concern into a catalyst for scientific progress. The galaxy's understanding of wildlife had grown more sophisticated, and Earth's creatures had earned a new level of respect in academic circles. The Galactic Federation Academy of Sciences underwent significant changes in the weeks following the snake incident. Professor Kyung-Mae Lee stood before her xenobiology class, presenting the newly revised curriculum. The classroom, once filled with casual curiosity, now held students who paid careful attention to every detail about Earth's wildlife. Today, we begin our expanded section on Earth's evolutionary adaptations, Professor Lee announced. The Academy Board has approved a full semester course dedicated to Earth's wildlife, starting next term. In the front row, Jai-Ho Park noticed how his classmates took detailed notes. His small corn snake, Noodle, remained in her reinforced container, which now featured special monitoring equipment. The Academy had installed similar systems throughout the campus to study Earth creatures' behaviors. Head Administrator Du-Yum Kang had implemented new safety protocols. All Earth species brought to the Academy required detailed documentation of their capabilities. The administration no longer accepted simple size measurements or basic biological data. Each Earth creature must be evaluated based on its full range of abilities, Administrator Kang explained during a faculty meeting. We must consider hunting methods, defensive capabilities, and behavioral patterns. Professor Lee's reputation grew as the leading expert on Earth wildlife. Other academic institutions requested her guidance in developing their own Earth species programs. She often used Jai-Ho's corn snake as an example in her lectures. What makes Earth's wildlife unique, she explained to a group of visiting professors, is not their size or obvious weapons, but their refined hunting methods. Evolution on Earth favored efficiency over display. The Academy's library created a new section dedicated to Earth's wildlife. Students spent hours studying videos of Earth's predators in action. They analyzed hunting patterns, defensive behaviors, and survival strategies. The seemingly simple creatures from Earth revealed layers of complexity that fascinated the galactic academic community. Nairi Kim, who had become particularly interested in Earth's wildlife, organized study groups. Understanding Earth's creatures helps us understand survival itself, she told her fellow students. Their solutions to evolutionary challenges are unlike anything in the known galaxy. Jai-Ho found himself teaching impromptu lessons about Earth's wildlife. Students sought his insights about common Earth creatures they had previously dismissed as harmless. He explained how house cats hunted with precision, how birds used advanced flight techniques, and how even small animals could defend themselves effectively. On Earth, he explained, every creature that survived did so because it found its perfect role in the ecosystem. Size and strength were not always the answer. The Academy's research department received increased funding for Earth wildlife studies. They began developing new classification systems that considered hunting efficiency, stealth capabilities, and adaptive behaviors rather than just size and obvious weapons. Professor Ta-Wen Choi, who had initially doubted the importance of studying Earth's smaller creatures, now led research into their hunting methods. These creatures challenge everything we thought we knew about survival on Deathworlds, he admitted during a faculty presentation. As the term progressed, the Academy's approach to wildlife classification changed fundamentally. They no longer divided creatures into harmless and dangerous categories. Instead, they studied each species' unique adaptations and survival strategies. Jai-Ho watched these changes with quiet satisfaction. His small corn snake had helped the galaxy understand that nature's most effective solutions weren't always the most obvious ones. The Academy had learned a valuable lesson. In the game of survival, efficiency often trumped size and power. The incident with Noodle had transformed from a moment of concern into a catalyst for scientific progress. The galaxy's understanding of wildlife had grown more sophisticated, and Earth's creatures had earned a new level of respect in academic circles. 1 year after the incident with Noodle the corn snake, the Galactic Federation Academy of Sciences had transformed its approach to studying Earth's wildlife. The Academy's main hall now featured a special exhibition showcasing various Earth species and their remarkable adaptations. Professor Kyung-Mei Lee stood proudly before her advanced xenobiology class, which had become one of the most popular courses of the Academy. Students from across the galaxy competed for spots in her lectures about Earth's ecosystem. Today marks the first anniversary of what we now call the Earth Wildlife Revolution, she announced to her class. What began with a small corn snake has led to a complete revision of how we understand survival adaptations across the galaxy. Jai-Ho Park, now a teaching assistant in the xenobiology department, watched from the back of the classroom. Noodle remained his constant companion, though her container now served as a learning tool for studying Earth predator behavior. The Academy had installed special sensors to analyze her hunting patterns and movements. The Galactic Federation had established new wildlife exchange programs between Earth and other worlds. Under careful supervision, scientists studied how different species had evolved to survive in their environments. Earth's approach to adaptation became a model for understanding ecosystem development. The most valuable lesson, Professor Lee explained to her students, is that nature finds efficient solutions. Earth's wildlife showed us that impressive abilities can come in small packages. Neri Kim, who had graduated and become an ambassador for wildlife studies, often visited the Academy to share her experiences. Her work focused on helping other worlds understand and respect Earth's unique ecosystem. When I first met Jai-Ho's snake, she told a group of new students, I thought it was just a small, harmless creature. Now I understand that every Earth species carries countless generations of survival wisdom in its DNA. The Academy's research programs had expanded significantly. Professor Ta-Wen Choi led a department dedicated to studying evolutionary efficiency across different worlds. His team used Earth's wildlife as a baseline for understanding how creatures could develop advanced capabilities without energy weapons or massive size. Head Administrator Du-Yum Kang had implemented permanent changes to the Academy's classification systems. We no longer judge species by their appearance or size, he explained during an orientation session. We study their actual capabilities and their role in their ecosystem. In the student commons, various screens displayed information about Earth's wildlife. The previous fear had transformed into respect and fascination. Students from different worlds shared their own experiences with Earth's creatures, contributing to a growing database of interspecies understanding. Jai-Ho often reflected on how one small incident had changed so much. His decision to bring Noodle to class had sparked a revolution in galactic science. The Academy now hosted regular seminars about Earth's wildlife, attracting scholars from across the galaxy. The Galactic Federation's official wildlife guide now included a special note: Earth's creatures, regardless of size, demonstrate remarkable evolutionary efficiency. Their abilities remind us that survival often depends on adaptation rather than raw power. As Professor Lee concluded her class, she shared a final thought with her students. The galaxy once dismissed Earth's wildlife as harmless because they didn't understand it. Now we know better. Every creature, whether it comes from Earth or any other world, deserves our respect and study. Outside the Academy windows, the twin suns set on another day of learning and discovery. In her container, Noodle remained as she had always been, a small corn snake who had inadvertently taught the galaxy a big lesson about making assumptions. The incident had shown everyone that in the vast expanse of space, wisdom could come from the most unexpected sources.